Hello, welcome to class 17 of the ArchiCAD 23 online course. In this class, we'll make the house walls and learn some extra tools. Going to underground floor. We already have the modeled structure, stairs and railings. I'll place the DWG reference from underground floor. So here you select Wall Tool, entering on Settings dialog. First you have the option to link wall height to upper floor. I'll link it to ground floor. And as the ground floor slab has 20 centimeters of thickness, I'll put -20. And so the wall height is 2 and 8/9. I'm going to use basic structure and select the building material. We have masonry block filler. I'll keep wall thickness in 20 centimeters. 2D representation are already configured according to my template. I will turn on override surfaces and choose this dark gray paint. Anthracite. Here we have paint anthracite. And layers, I'll put this element in Arc 4 walls. Okay. Here we have the geometry methods. Keeping pressed the mouse button, you can see other options. But for now, I'm going to use this single wall. And start to draw, following the reference. You can invert the reference if you need. You see that it's using the masonry block fill, but I have a preliminary design pattern in my office where I like to use solid fill in this phase. I will select this wall. Floor plan and section, override cut fill pans. I'll put both with 115 to have a solid gray. I can use the eyedropper to copy parameters to make the next walls with the same settings. So I'll click doing the walls. Where I have columns, I do not enter with the wall inside the column. So I stop here and start on the other side. And where I have doors and windows that now are just as references, I can model over it because doors and windows are inserted inside the walls. In these internal walls, I'll have a different material, so I'll select. In model, I'll change to paint titanium white. Turning off the reference, you see that some walls are under beams. Clicking here, you see the beam is selected. Going to 3D, navigating inside the garage. Selecting the wall, you see these dots indicating wall top. So it is mixing with the beam concrete. And working with beam technology, we should model as right as possible to have correct sections, quantitative, and so on. Clicking on Node. In the floating palette, choose Stretch Height. And here on 3D, I can click at the beam bottom face as reference. Now it's adjusted. I can do the same to other walls. Select them, pressing Shift To add selection, click on Node, stretch height, and now it's done. As a matter of fact, I need to correct the base levels of these walls. So entering here on settings dialog, you see that the level is -20 and I'll put 0. Now it's okay. In order to facilitate internal elements additions, like walls, we have some possibilities. One of them is Explore. In this bottom bar, beside Orbit, click on Explore. This window explains the navigation modes. Click on 3D Explore. Inside Explore mode, moving the mouse, we move the views to right, to left, mouse to front, he looks up, mouse to back, he looks down. And I have the arrows in my keyboard. Using these arrows, I can walk in my project like a video game. We also have the options page down and page up. And it moves vertically like an elevator. In this bottom bar, you can adjust the speed, pressing the plus or minus on your keyboard. You can increase or decrease the speed. So here with a higher speed, you can fly faster. And pressing minus, the speed decreases. I'll press ESC to quit from Explore mode. Another important command to help you on internal modeling is Filter. In this icon with a funnel, we have filter and cut elements in 3D. So here I can limit the view from one story to another, for example, from terrain to underground floor. I'll click OK, then you have the view until underground floor and could edit all internal spaces freely. Now I can limit the view until ground floor. And copy parameters from walls to model in this level. So here I'll put the reference, the DWG reference from ground floor. And I'll just change some wall settings. Like here we have the first floor slab has 30 centimeters of thickness. So I'll keep the link to first floor, but I'll type -30. Building material is masonry block. And here I'll keep 20 centimeters of thickness. But in model, I'll change just to gray paint, paint anthracite, and I'll keep two other faces with gray paint, but in one face I'll put white paint, the paint titanium white. So I'll click, and now I model the sequence of walls. I'll change here the reference line. Do a double click to finish, and you can check on 3D. But here is the contrary. I want the internal walls white and the external walls using gray paint. Now it's okay. And after, I make internal walls with all faces white and 15 centimeters of thickness. So here, these are the walls to model, and I will draw stopping on columns, but going direct over door and window openings. So now, to be very clear, you don't need to have a reference previous made on AutoCAD. You could model the walls and other elements and use commands to drag a copy, multiply, and so on. But having a reference, it can accelerate the modeling, and here in the course, it helps the students to execute an unknown project. Go into underground floor, close the reference, and clicking on this wall, you see that sometimes the bin is selected. We have overlapping elements. Then we have to find a better way to select. Press Esc to quit from selections. You can use the tab key to alternate between elements. Keeping the mouse over them and pressing tab. So you see the information tag indicating wall and bin. Do the click and select the element you want. Another function is real line weight. Here you see that I am working without line weight. You can activate clicking with mouse right button through line weight. And now you see the different line weights on each pen for cut elements, outlines, and projections. I prefer to work without line weights by a matter of modeling accuracy. And speaking more about linked elements going to 3D, we have these walls on ground floor linked to first floor. And if I change the story levels, these walls will change together. To give this example, click on Filter and return to Infinite View. You see the walls facing the bottom part of the slabs. Going to Story Settings, I'll click with mouse right button to Story Settings. And if I change the first floor level to 6 meters, for instance, you see that walls and columns changing its height and accompanying the new story level. So I'll come back to the previous level. Here is 493. And here we have the walls on our house. And now to finish this class, I'll speak about some extra tools, and some of them we have already used in the project. These commands are here on the upper bar, and they are trim, split, adjust, intersect, fillet and chamfer, and resize. So let's start with trim. To make an example, I'll draw lines crossing each other. I will select the trim command and pressing Ctrl key or just click on trim command, you do a click, and the cut is done. The same is valid to constructive elements. So let's copy these walls. Then if I have crossing walls, I could use the trim command, pressing Control key, or clicking on trim command. And so you can do a click to the constructive element, and it works even on 3D window. So going to 3D. Here I can press Control key and do the cut in a constructive element. And after we have split command, the X, it divides any element. I could have a slab, select the slab, click on split, draw a line, do a click, and then I have two slabs. I can do it to walls, beams, and other elements. Other tool is adjust. For example, I could have many walls. So here I will do some copies and another wall here. And if I want to stretch these walls until the other, select them, click on adjust, and click on the face I want to stretch these elements. So clicking here, you see all the elements stretched to the wall. Next tool is fillet and chamfer. So I can select two walls, click here, I'll choose fillet. I can define the radius, for example, 1 meter of radius. I'll press OK. This is the result, but you see that it isn't good because the reference lines are in different sides. So I can fix it. I'll press Ctrl Z to come back. So I'll change here the reference line size, inverting this element. Now I can do the radius, the fillet, and you see the correct element. And here, pressing the chamfer option, I'll keep 1 meter of radius, and now the element is chamfered. And we have the resize command. It is like a scale command, so I could have a slab. I'm gonna use here the slab tool. I'll put 5 by 5 meters, and selecting the slab and clicking resize, I have the option of define graphically. And in this way, I can click in one point, other point on diagonal side, and click to redefine the size. But if I wanted a precise scale, I should mark off define graphically and choose a percentage here. For example, 100% is the real size of the object. If I want the half size, I have to type 50%. I'll click OK. And I'll click in an origin point to resize. And then we have the half size. Going again to resize, if I want the double size, I have to type 200%. OK, do the click, and the element gets double size. 5 times bigger, I'll put 500%, click OK, and now it's done. Okay, these were the extra tools and walls. I'll wait for you on next class. Bye-bye.